Hi everyone, I'm Matt Goldman from SSWTV, and with me today is Matthew Robbins. Matthew, hi, how are you?
I'm good, Matt. I'm doing well. How you doing?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Obviously, I know you from as the author of MFractor, which absolutely awesome tool for Xamarin developers. And I don't know if I've ever thanked you for it, but it absolutely changed the game completely for making Xamarin apps and made a bunch of very tedious things a doddle. So yeah, thank you for that.
No, no problem. It's been a good journey. But yeah, so I'm Matthew Robbins. So I've been in the Xamarin MAUI ecosystem for in what was it 2024? So probably like 12, 13 years. So a little while, a little while. Around 2014, 2015 is when I started MFractor. So that for those who aren't familiar, developer tool for Xamarin and continuing to .NET MAUI, just like solving lots and lots of paper cuts. Nowadays, I've changed tacks a little bit. I'm now in my own startup, so we're building an app called Redpoint. Redpoint's an app for rock climbers. So we're trying to improve on the traditional guidebook experience. So where when you're out rock climbing, usually you would have a book that you would take out to a climbing area and using written descriptions and pictures to find where lines are, so where things to climb are. So we're making that a bit more data centric. So doing things like GPS trails, and we're taking 3D scans of rock climbing walls. So we're going out using photogrammetry to make a very realistic 3D model of a cliff. And then we have a whole bunch of data tooling to convert that into something that is consumable in a mobile app. And then Redpoint is a MAUI app with a Unity integration that lets you digitally explore cliffs, I guess.
And when you say so, the app is for people to explore these cliffs in 3D. Is this a tool that you would use while you're actually out climbing, or is this something that you would use to kind of plan your climb in advance? So I'm not a rock climber, so but I do imagine that using a book, getting out a book while you're climbing is probably quite difficult as well. So this might ease
So
that. Is that kind of the use case?
it's both. The main thing is that like when you're at the base of the cliff, so usually like this is one of the dozens of guidebooks that I now own, but like usually you would be. I'll try to find an example. So you have a picture with a line on it and a
Yep.
description. So you're at the base of the cliff, with the guidebook, looking at a picture, looking up at a wall, trying to figure out what that piece of rock you're looking at is, because someone's gone out and bolted it or done a pre-established line on it. And in general, you want to make sure you're getting on the right thing, because difficulty and safety kind of comes into factor there. So if you get on something that is wrong in the other direction, so in the hard direction, it can actually be quite dangerous. So being able to be certain on what you're getting on is one of the challenges that we're really trying to address. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Okay, I have lots and lots of questions, right?
Far
But
away.
before I ask those, would you like to show it off? Can you show us a demo and show us what it looks like?
Yeah, sure thing. This is the app running on an iPad. So I've just been in Europe for 2 months, 3D scanning areas. My business partner's still over there. Hence why you've seen like all these little pins popping in on the map. So kind of like a quick overview. This is all MAUI, so all native, all native controls. The standard MAUI goodness that you all know and love. So like tab views at the bottom, like tab page. Crags, for example, I think that's a collection view. This is all slowly being expanded with data. So content is one of the big things with the app. Then we've got a map so people can explore climbing areas. So for example, what's a good one to go to?
Is this just using the native OS map integration, or are you using like MAUI or something like that?
This is the native OS Maps integration. It's working pretty well. We'll probably switch to Mapbox at some point. But this, yeah, like it's definitely working fine. So yeah, out of the box, there wasn't really any customizations we really had to make to this. So I wrote a whole bunch of like clustering algorithms myself. So like as you zoom in, it will like automatically expand this area.
Yeah, that's cool.
I've somehow managed to reorient this so it's a bit zoomed in. So as I go in, it's got things like trails and where trailheads are. So these red lines here, that's how you would hike into a climbing area. So kind of like how All Trails or one of the kind of like hiking apps gives you a trail for you to follow. We're doing the same thing. So we're recording GPS trails into all the climbing areas so that you can know how to get into it. Yeah, so then if I say tap on Megara, so this is a climbing area in Turkey, I have a couple of options. I'll jump into the 3D guide later. So we can jump in and kind of have that, looking at that 2D picture kind of view. So one interesting thing about this particular list view is that all of these topos, so I'll actually just rearrange so it's a bit clearer. These pictures are taken from our 3D models. So there's a whole bunch of advantages to that, but it means that we can capture the camera information basically. So
the EXIF data, is it?
Yeah, so the camera position in 3D space. So all of these lines, they're not 2D, they're 3D projections into 2D space. So you can redraw and update lines without having to change any of the 2D pictures. So it gives us a tremendous amount of flexibility to like update and edit things. And then
so you could show that from a different angle, for example, quite easily.
Yeah, I could just go into our tooling and take more pictures. So someone's like, it's a bit ambiguous on, like I can't quite tell where the line is because the picture's not that great. We can just readjust the picture in virtual space, and all of the lines just get projected. So there's no updates we have to do. So I'll jump back in. Bit of a list view bug there. Then there's some really interesting things we can do. So, for example, if I go into 10 years anniversary, so these are all climbs. So each of these list items, bit of a bit more detailed page. So all of the pictures corresponding to that line, and then all of this rendering is all skew sharp. So this, what we call it a verticality profile. That's a bunch of maths that projects what the climb would look like as a side-on view, so you can see how steep it is. So yeah, that's all skew sharp. That's all dynamic. It's all calculated off data.
So did you consider using MAUI graphics for that?
Didn't consider it. I've written a lot of stuff in skew sharp over the years. So one of my other tools that I've been building called Insight uses a lot of skew sharp for drawing real-time graphs. So I was pretty aware, like pretty comfortable, I guess, with building some complex stuff in it. So that was just what I went with. Yeah. So that's our 2D representation, and then I guess I'll jump out to an area that I know is quite lovely to look at. So for the 3D graphics, so this is Kalymnos, really popular climbing area in the world. So if I jump into Open 3D Guide, I might have to download, but might take just a couple of seconds to sync all the assets down.
So it pulls the data down, and then once it's got the data, it just works fully offline. Because I'm guessing like a lot of these places would probably not have any kind of cell coverage.
Yeah, it's all offline first. So you can use the map fully offline. So we've got some strategies for offline access there. But then if you want to explore an area offline, so if you wanted all the trail data, explore the 3D model, that all needs to be on device. So that's an offline thing. So that sync pass that you just saw me do just grabs it all from blob storage and then puts it
Yeah.
onto the device in a structured way. And you would need that anyway, because you can't, I mean, maybe you could, but yeah, you just load, you're loading a local asset from the iPad into Unity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're downloading it and then running it locally as opposed to streaming it from some online source.
Yeah.
In real time.
Yeah, and if you're climbing it, it needs to be offline because cell coverage is usually pretty poor, or usually non-existent.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so I just hit the Open 3D guide, and this will start up the Unity integration. This might take a second or two to load. And so this is an area called Study Cave in Kalimna. So it's like a giant kind of angrily stomped in the ground. Yeah. So for reference, that cave system would be like 60 or so meters high.
That's quite high. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, all taken with a drone through photogrammetry tooling, and so you can really like go in and kind of really very precisely see.
Awesome.
Yeah, where the climbs go. I'll open up a couple more, kind of give you an idea of some of the quality we can get. This is an area in France, so yeah, some of the newest, hardest, like more famous climbs in the world are out this way.
Right.
Yeah, so you can kind of see the detail that we can go into. So I'll just turn the maps off so you can kind of fully appreciate kind of.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, the quality.
That's really cool. That's amazing.
So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I'm speechless. That's really, really cool. So I have a lot of questions. I guess the big one, the big one is, can you talk through a little bit around how you got this integration working? Because obviously Unity is a game engine, completely independent of MAUI. So how did you kind of shoehorn the one into the other?
Well, it started as a hypothetical, right? I don't quite remember it, but my business partner is pretty clear that we were walking in to do some scans one day, and I was like, oh, I wonder, like, no, it's like, surely that wouldn't be possible. It's like, oh, like, what are you going to send? I'm like, oh, I wonder if we could connect Unity and MAUI. So, because I specialize, like, MAUI is like my bread and butter, right? And not to disparage Unity, but when you build a full app in Unity, so it's an amazing game engine, but you get this like uncanny valley kind of effect. So it doesn't, that they don't feel quite right as like actual apps. So we kind of had a hypothesis that we could probably combine the two of them, because I knew that you could. There's a technology called Unity as a library. So the way that Unity builds their like application bundles is they generate like a framework or like a library, and then that gets consumed by like an app head that they generate alongside with it. So like Android, they have a standalone library that generates an AR, and for iOS, they have a framework, and then the app head like shim, I guess. Don't know what the term would be. I would use there. That connects it into like the actual app. So I don't know exactly when they switched to that structure, but it meant you could, like, because of that structure, they gave you the capability of injecting it into other apps. So they've
Yeah,
got a bit
that's
of
very cool.
documentation on how to do this. And I was like, maybe we could try this with MAUI. Maybe it'll
Yeah,
work. Yeah, and kind of like over 2 weeks, just like kind of like just pecking at it. I had a couple of successes with getting it to work. So I think we got the Android one working first, and then the iOS one. So it was fairly theoretical until it just worked. And then I was like, oh, okay, that is a massive game changer for us. So we we just went full steam ahead with it, because I mean it really meant that we could do this really incredible app experience where we get the absolute best of like cross-platform native apps, but then we don't have to write our own 3D engine. I don't know if you've ever looked into this, but it is very, very hard, particularly for some of the stuff that we wanted to do. So like just the thing like tapping onto a mesh, doing that collision detection efficiently, like that's not easy. That's
yeah,
So being able to use Unity for that was a game changer. And then
yeah.
we went from hypothetical to confirmed working. Had a lot of integration problems to iron out, because again, it's not really that done. Then I think it probably over like 4.5 months, like 4 months, we went from that first test to an app on the App Store.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you mentioned it's on the App Store. So the app is available now. If people want to get this app and try it out, where can they get it?
So it's Redpoint is the name of the app. I'll share some links and stuff on the App Store. If you want to play around with it, it's still free at the moment. So all of the 3D guides, all the 3D models, are all fully free. That will probably change by the end of the year, because we are a business. So
yeah, okay. So the app is free and it's available via the iOS App Store, Google Play Store, Google Play. And at the moment, the content that's in there is free, but in the future it won't be. So the app will be free, but you'll pay for what content you want, right? Or will it be more of a subscription model and you get everything, or how's that going to work?
Our direction is a subscription model, so everything is free, so everything will remain free. So things like the maps, being able to view areas, that like 2D list view that I showed at the start. What will be paid for will be our 3D models, so that rich kind of 3D experience, and offline access, so ability to sync down areas for when you're actually like out and about. Then there's a bunch of stuff that we've got planned for the next 6 months to year and a half. Still kind of like too soon to talk about that, because we're trying to do a whole bunch of other stuff first, so don't get ahead of myself.
Yeah, sure. So it's just two of you at the moment?
Yeah, just 2 of us at the moment.
Yeah, that's a massive amount of work to not only build the app, but also gather all and process all that data.
Yeah, it is. So Martin's primarily doing the data capture, and I'm building up a bunch of tooling to assist him there. But he's in Europe until end of July. Then once he's back, we'll have a bit of a lag time, like a bit of follow up, just getting all that data processed. We do have like 150 people around the world who have like gone, I love what you're doing. I want to help out. So we've got a lot of people who will be 3D scanning for us. We just don't have the tooling in place yet to support them to do so. So for example, it's not just like the 3D model generation. We're planning on adding the ability for people to add their own routes. So we need to build a bunch of like editing tooling into the app. It's not like it's just work, but it does take time. So we'll get there. We should, once we start getting other people involved, like our number of areas, I expect, is going to grow pretty rapidly. So we have 500 3D scans in the app now. We probably have at least another 300 in the pipeline, and that's just Martin and I. So it's kind of gives you an idea of I think it's probably going to get pretty out of hand pretty quickly. Well, I hope it does, because that's a good
Yeah.
thing for us. Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out. But
Yeah.
we've definitely hit the mark though with people around the world. Like we're at 18,000 users. Last time
Wow,
I
that's
kind
good.
of like checked, so we're like 5,500 per month, like active. Yeah, and we're closing in on 20,000 Instagram followers. So yeah,
That's
like,
awesome.
it's kind of gotten out of hand. It got
Yeah.
very got a lot of attention very quickly, which is a good thing. But now we're just trying to
Great.
follow up with that attention.
I'm very, very grateful for you joining me this morning and showing Redpoint. It's obviously a spectacular app. Like, what you're doing with it is fantastic, both from its technological point of view, as well as in terms of an actual product. It sounds like it's got great potential. You've already got 18,000 people loving it, 20,000 Instagram followers. So it sounds like everything is going the right way. So best of luck to you and mine for the future of Redpoint, and I'll be watching it very closely.
Yep, thank you very much. It's very exciting.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Matthew. Thanks again for giving up some time this morning to join me. So I'm Matt Goldman for SSWTV. Thank you very much.